Imagine waking up on May 28th to find your Social Security payment is hundreds of dollars higher than expected. Millions of Americans are about to experience exactly that. But here's the shocking part: not everyone who thinks they're eligible actually is. The House's new Big Beautiful Bill has created the largest Social Security COLA increase in over 4 decades. But there's a specific list of recipients, and you might be surprised by who made it and who didn't. Are you checking your bank account on the 28th? Or are you one of the millions who will be left wondering why their payments stayed the same? The answer could change your entire retirement plan. Before we dive into who's getting this massive payment boost, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because Social Security updates like this can change overnight, and you don't want to miss critical information that could affect your financial future. Let's get started. The anticipation is building across America as May 28, 2025 approaches, and for good reason. The House's newly passed legislation, dubbed the Big Beautiful Bill, is set to deliver the most substantial Social Security cost of living adjustment increase we've seen since the early 1980s. But here's what's keeping millions of Americans on edge: this isn't a blanket increase for everyone receiving Social Security benefits. The legislation, which passed through Congress with bipartisan support after months of heated debates and backroom negotiations, specifically targets certain categories of Social Security recipients. The bill recognizes that decades of modest COLA adjustments have failed to keep pace with the real-world inflation that seniors and disabled Americans face daily. From skyrocketing healthcare costs to the rising price of basic necessities, many Social Security recipients have watched their purchasing power erode year after year. So who exactly makes the list for this enhanced payment? The primary beneficiaries are individuals who have been receiving Social Security retirement benefits for at least 5 years and whose monthly payments currently fall below $2,800. This demographic represents approximately 42 million Americans who have been struggling to maintain their standard of living despite faithfully contributing to the Social Security system throughout their working years. The legislation also includes a special provision for disabled Social Security recipients under the age of 62 who have been on disability for more than 3 years. These individuals will see their payments adjusted to reflect the true cost of living increases they've experienced, particularly in medical expenses and specialized care needs. The bill recognizes that disabled Americans often face unique financial challenges that traditional COLA adjustments haven't adequately addressed. What makes this increase so significant isn't just the amount, which averages between $200 to $400 per month depending on your current benefit level, but the timing and methodology behind the calculation. Rather than using the standard consumer price index that has guided COLA adjustments for decades, the new legislation employs what economists call the Senior Citizens Price Index. This measurement more accurately reflects the spending patterns of older Americans, giving greater weight to healthcare, housing, and prescription drug costs. The journey to May 28 hasn't been without controversy. Critics of the bill argue that such a substantial increase could strain the Social Security Trust Fund, potentially accelerating the projected depletion date that currently sits at 2034. Supporters counter that this adjustment is long overdue and represents a correction rather than an enhancement, pointing to studies showing that Social Security benefits have lost approximately 20% of their purchasing power since 2000. But here's where it gets complicated, and why not everyone who expects to benefit actually will. The legislation includes what's called a means testing component, though it's more nuanced than traditional means testing. Recipients whose total household income, including Social Security, exceeds $65,000 for individuals or $95,000 for married couples will see a reduced enhancement. Those above $85,000 individual or $125,000 married filing jointly won't receive the enhanced COLA at all. This creates an interesting situation where some retirees who thought they were financially secure might actually benefit more than those who appear to be better off on paper. A widow receiving a modest Social Security payment but living in a paid-off home might see a larger increase than a couple with higher Social Security benefits but also significant investment income. The implementation process has been months in the making. The Social Security Administration has been working around the clock to update their systems, verify eligibility, and ensure that payments are processed correctly. They've sent notification letters to eligible recipients, but many Americans report not receiving these letters or being confused by the technical language used to explain the changes. What's particularly noteworthy is how this legislation addresses some of the gender-based disparities in Social Security benefits. Women, who statistically live longer and often have lower lifetime earnings due to career interruptions for caregiving, will disproportionately benefit from this adjustment. The bill includes specific language recognizing that traditional COLA calculations haven't adequately accounted for the unique financial challenges faced by older women, particularly those who are widowed or divorced. The geographic impact of these changes is also significant. Recipients in high cost of living areas, particularly in major metropolitan areas and certain states with higher living expenses, will see the most substantial improvements in their purchasing power. However, the legislation also includes provisions to ensure that recipients in rural areas, who often face different but equally challenging economic circumstances, aren't left behind. For those wondering about the mechanics of receiving their enhanced payment, the process is designed to be seamless. If you're already receiving Social Security benefits and you meet the eligibility criteria, the enhanced amount will automatically be included in your May 28th payment. There's no need to apply separately or take any additional action. However, if you believe you're eligible but don't see the increase in your payment, the Social Security Administration has established a special hotline and online portal for inquiries. The ripple effects of this legislation extend far beyond individual bank accounts. Economists predict that injecting this additional money into the economy could stimulate local businesses, particularly those that serve senior populations, grocery stores, pharmacies, healthcare providers, and service businesses in areas with high concentrations of retirees are already preparing for increased consumer spending. Looking ahead, this legislation also establishes a new framework for future COLA adjustments. Rather than the annual guessing game about whether Social Security recipients will see meaningful increases, the bill creates a more predictable system that takes into account the real-world inflation experienced by older Americans. This could mean more consistent and adequate adjustments in future years, providing better financial security for current and future retirees. The political implications are equally significant. This bipartisan achievement comes at a time when many Americans have lost faith in their government's ability to address practical, everyday concerns. The success of the Big Beautiful Bill could influence how politicians approach other social insurance programs and could set a precedent for more targeted, effective government interventions in addressing economic inequality. As May 28 approaches, the excitement is palpable, but so is the anxiety. Millions of Americans are carefully checking their eligibility, calling the Social Security Administration, and making plans for how they'll use their enhanced benefits. Some are planning to address deferred medical care, others are considering home improvements they've put off for years, and many are simply looking forward to not having to choose between medications and groceries. The true test of this legislation won't be measured in dollars and cents alone, but in the improved quality of life it provides to millions of Americans who have earned these benefits through decades of hard work and contribution to our society. Whether you're checking your bank account on May 28 with hope or resignation, this historic adjustment represents more than just a policy change, it's a recognition that our seniors and disabled citizens deserve to live with dignity and financial security. So mark your calendars, check your eligibility, and prepare for what could be a life-changing payment. May 28, 2025 might just be the day that Social Security finally catches up with the cost of living in America.